The Cabot ancestry that Captain John Cabot derived from was originally from the English Channel Isle of Jersey. In 1700, Captain John Cabot's ancestor, John Cabot, immigrated from that English Channel Isle right to Salem, Massachusetts. This particular clan Captain John Cabot belonged to is part of the Boston Brahmin, who were some of the first wealthy Yankee families to reside in Boston and surrounding cities. Following the death of John Cabot's father, Joseph, in 1768, John's mother, Elizabeth, moved to Beverly with 8 of her 9 children. In 1781, the John Cabot House was built in Beverly for John Cabot, right as the Revolutionary War was occurring in America. As for the house, it was the first brick mansion ever built in Beverly. It is a Georgian-style mansion, and the craftsmanship and elegance of it reflects the great wealth John Cabot and his family once possessed. The elegance of the house can truly be observed in the architecture of it. The intricately carved panelings, beautiful decorative Dutch tiles, ornate desks and furnishings, and the fancy fireplaces are just some of the main features that can be seen in the house. The majority of the original furnishings and decorature still exist in the house today, as well as many of the artifacts once owned by John Cabot and the Beverly Bank. As I just briefly mentioned, the John Cabot House served as the original headquarters for the Beverly Bank when John Cabot decided to sell his mansion in 1802 for $5,000 to the newly formed bank. Although he sold the house, he was still able to lease a portion of the house for his personal living quarters. One of the methods John Cabot used to attain the large amount of wealth he had was through his occupation. John Cabot was a merchant and a mariner who, along with his brothers, owned merchant ships that used to travel all around the globe. The primary nations John Cabot, as well as many other Essex County merchants, used to trade with were India, Spain, Portugal, and even Sumatra. The main commodities they would deal were dried codfish, timber, and pepper. Out of all the trading ventures John Cabot and his merchant ships pursued, none of them yielded more profit than the pepper trade that John Cabot and many other Essex County ship-owning merchants pursued in that time period. Although the Sumatra pepper trade generated staggering profits for Cabot and other merchants, the voyages themselves were brutal. These voyages lasted a total of 1 year round trip, and a significant amount of the crewmen on the ships died before they could even make the return back to Salem. The 700% profit of the initial investment made the trading worthwhile. John Cabot not only made a wealthy profit through his successful merchant trading ventures, he as well gained profit through his investing in key Essex County infrastructure. One of the first ventures he decided to invest in was the Beverly Cotton Manufactory. The Beverly Cotton Manufactory was the first cotton mill built in America, as well as the largest one that would be built during its era. It was hoped that the manufacturer would bring great prosperity for the economies of Beverly and Essex County, but that never panned out. Due to financial and machinery limitations, the factory was forced to shut down in 1798, and John Cabot sold his shares of the manufactory. Although the cotton manufacture did not prove profitable for John Cabot, one investment that did was investing in local bridges, in particular the Essex Bridge. The Essex Bridge was a colonial-style bridge built in Beverly that linked Beverly straight to neighboring Salem. Not only did investing in bridges like these was he able to make profit, he was also able to help the people of the local community surrounding the bridge by providing them easier modes of transportation. Today, the original Essex Bridge no longer stands, as it would not be able to withstand the large volume of vehicles crossing it these days. Today, in the same spot where the Essex Bridge once stood, the Veterans Memorial Bridge now stands. It has been up and running since 1997. Funding for John Cabot's ventures would have derived from the currency of the Beverly Bank. As I previously mentioned, John Cabot sold his house to the Beverly Bank in 1802 to serve as the bank's first headquarters. The Beverly Bank itself was one of the oldest banks ever founded in Essex County. Following the establishment of the bank, Sir Israel Thorndike was made president of it. Israel Thorndike was an incredibly wealthy man who was a former Massachusetts legislature official as well as a merchant and a sailor. Back in that time period, each bank would have its own unique set of banknotes and currency that would only be used in the particular bank in which the note originated. Because of the unique notes and currency being printed by each bank, counterfeit banknotes were steadily on the rise in that time period. In the Beverly Bank, during the time of John Cabot, the basic banking process was simple. The individual who wanted to store his gold in the bank vault or receive bank currency would give his gold to the cashier, and that gold would be weighed on a scale by the name of Mr. Dearborn's Gold Standard Balance. After the gold was weighed, the gold would go into the vault for storage, and the individual would receive a banknote corresponding to the amount of gold deposited. In the years following John Cabot's death, his house was eventually sold to Edward Burley in 1834 by the Beverly Bank. Edward Burley had made some renovations to it, including a day vault to the bank room. In 1868, the Beverly Bank found new headquarters in a new location of Beverly. Since Mr. Burley had no children, in 1891 he willed the building to be the headquarters of the Beverly Historical Society, which is what the building still functions as today. Today, the John Cabot House is a museum filled with artifacts from John Cabot's lifetime in historical Essex County. The Cabot House helps people better understand and learn major events that occurred in colonial Essex County.